Today, we celebrate the feast of the conversion of Saint Paul. Actually, my dear brothers and sisters, this conversion of Saint Paul is often misunderstood. Kadalasan kasi, kapag narinig natin ang salitang conversion, ang pumapasok sa ating isipan ay isang masamang buhay tungo sa isang mabuting buhay. Isang makasalanang buhay tungo sa isang matuwid na buhay. At maraming mga santo ang nakaranas ng ganitong uri ng buhay. For example, Saint Augustine converted from a life of debauchery, theft, violence, and vandalism to a life of holiness. Before their conversion to Christ, Saint Matthew the Apostle was an extortionist. Saint Camillus de Lilis was a conman. Saint Columba started a war. Saint Christopher was said to have worshipped the devil. And even Saint Francis speaks of a youth wasted in sinful behavior. Saint Paul's conversion initially looks this way. He did, after all, go from a life of persecuting and killing Christians to a life of promoting Christianity and making new Christians. But some biblical scholars claim that Saint Paul's conversion was not one from a wicked life to a holy life. Saint Paul sought after holiness. Naniniwala si San Pablo na ang kabanalan ay mangyayari lamang sa pamamagitan ng mahigpit na pagsunod sa batas, yung tinatawag nilang Mosaic Law. And Saint Paul devoted himself to persecuting and killing Christians because this is what he believed the law demanded. After all, the early Christians were a Jewish sect who claimed the Mosaic Law was outdated. You don't need circumcision. You no longer have to go to the temple. The principal day of the week is no longer Saturday, but Sunday, because that's the day Jesus rose from the dead. To Paul's ears, the Christians were blasphemous, heretics, deserving death under the law. Because of this erroneous notion of what God wanted, he devoted himself to stamping out this new sect. But on the way to Damascus, nung nasa kaligitnaan na sila ng kanilang paglalakbay, nagbago ang lahat. The risen Christ appeared to Paul. Jesus spoke a word to his heart and let a ray of his divine light into the darkness of Paul's mind. I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. In other words, Jesus helped Paul to realize that whatever he was doing to the least of his brethren, he was doing to him. From that moment, Paul realized that Jesus identifies himself with the suffering Christians. The sufferings of the Christians are the suffering of Christ. The persecution of the Christian is the persecution of Christ. Paul, while persecuting the Christians, was thinking that he was only hurting a bunch of poor, ignorant, defenseless rabble who were the enemies of Judaism. But little did he know that in persecuting the Christians, he was persecuting the Lord of glory, the Lord of life. What the church actually said about Jesus was true. So his conversion was not so much from wickedness to holiness, but from a false notion of a holy life to a holy life. Holiness does not come from the strict adherence to the Mosaic Law, but absolute fidelity to Christ. He had a false notion of holiness, but he was 100% dedicated to that false notion. Just like many Muslims and Protestants who are often more dedicated to their half-truth than Catholics, are of our whole truth. But they, like Paul, devoted to striving after holiness, are ripe for conversion. My dear brothers and sisters, it is up to us to help the world encounter Christ, so that, like Paul, they may come to the conversion of mind and find in Christ the satisfaction of their heart's deepest longings. There are people out there who believe that Christianity is just a set of inconvenient rules or false promises. We have to help them meet Christ. But we must strive after holiness, believe wholeheartedly, root out sin from our life, celebrate the sacraments joyfully, practice rich, vibrant prayer, and never be afraid of sharing the good news. As Jesus commands in the gospel today, go into the whole world and proclaim the gospel to every creature for the glory of God and salvation of souls. God bless us all.